So, hi, and welcome to this episode of In Search for Courage and Meaning. I'm Abby of Abby Keen Healing. I'm a healer, coach, body worker, and I am mainly a human being in search for courage and meaning in my own life and inspiration to do so. And so today I have with me Dian Shirley. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
You're so welcome. And so, would you be willing to introduce yourself to us?
Yes, my name is Diane, and I am a retired elementary school teacher who had an entrepreneurial streak all through the teaching in an institution, I guess. And so after I retired, I began exploring all of this ancient spiritual wisdom. And I consider myself like a Vedic mentor, Vedic educator, which I am certified as from the Chopra Center. And I'm a certified yoga therapist. My specialty, though, is really not so much in the asanas or the physical practice of yoga, but more the emotional and spiritual parts of yoga therapy. And I really support women who are committed to transformational change, who want to live more on purpose and live up to their potential. They feel like something's missing from their life, and often it is accessible to them through these ancient wisdom teachings.
Right.
And that's what my journey has been, what my healing journey, what has helped me most in my spiritual evolution and my own growth, personal growth.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, because once you kind of break through and find yourself on a path, there's a passion to show others how to do it too.
Right.
Come on, guys, come on. This is so worth it. Come join. And also, like, sort of this life after retirement, that there's so much richness out there. It's not like life ends, but it's like one chapter ends and this other chapter like opens.
Right. Yeah, and it is my innate love of teaching, even though it was mostly children in my first career.
Yeah.
But that teaching part that comes out, and the desire to put together classes or programs encompassing all of the ancient practices that I've been introduced to and that have helped me heal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I share that with you because I also tend to work with women, who are a little later in their life, and help them kind of step into deeper purpose and meaning. And I feel like it's so important, especially so many women, so many of us get stuck in the pattern of like overgiving and caretaking everybody else. And it's so easy to neglect that part of us that wants to be realized and to be expressed. And, and then later in life, it feels, oh, it might be too late for me to do anything. I've lived most of it already. And so to say, no, there's more in store for you if you decide to pluck the fruits of the tree. It just seems so important. And so I want to ask you, in that line of work for you, what do you feel the most passionate about? Because we've talked about that, and I want to hear that from you.
um, right. And I'll just revisit that point that especially women, at least in my generation, maybe even your generation, we've not been taught to put our own interests first. And there's a lot of anxiety that I have seen in women seeking to do that. And I think it's a combination, just simply put, it's a combination of the past patterns and conditioning. And it's also like something, an urging that rises up from inside,
Yeah.
that there's can be more to life, that I'm getting older and I don't want to waste the rest of my life. I don't want it to, I don't want something to happen where I can't feel like I've lived a life on purpose um, and like life is passing me by, basically, I guess. And so what I became most passionate about was one of the ancient wisdom teachings that I've heard through my Ayurveda training, I've heard through my shamanic training, I've heard through all my meditation practices, is a really powerful map to healing through our energy centers. And in the wisdom teachings, it's called the chakras. And the chakras, we have chakras all throughout our body, and they're just wheels of energy that conduct the flow of energy through our body, through the systems, all the systems of our bodies. And there's 7 main energy centers that run along our spine that are associated with different systems of the body. And in the ancient teachings, these chakras, these 7 major chakras, were developed as we grew through childhood and up into and through adolescence. And what happened, and this even begins at the point of conception and through the womb, that's when our lowest energy center develops and forms. And if there's something that blocks that development in any way, then it distorts the chakras that are above them.
Mm.
And so, it's interesting because my spiritual conscious evolutionary journey started with meditation and yoga. And the meditation style I learned at the Chopra Center opens these what we call the upper spiritual chakras.
Yeah.
And that's where we feel the bliss and the relaxation and for some people, a connection to more than what's in our physical reality.
Yeah.
And I loved teaching the primordial sound meditation. I loved teaching yoga and helping people to really relax, tune in to themselves. But I wanted to stop there. I just wanted to enjoy the peacefulness and the blissfulness until I was told by a shamanic teacher that I was 14 feet out of my body. And what that meant, what I learned that meant eventually was that I hadn't done the work to heal the conditioning that was covering up the truth of myself, of who I really was.
Yeah.
And to go back to chakras, this conditioning happens as our chakras develop. So we come into the world with these chakras, but they don't develop until we begin to grow, until we grow through childhood.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, there's so many things that I'm relating to what you said, and I'm even going to go backwards for a second just to highlight something that you said before moving and talking a little bit more about what does it mean to work on those lower chakras. Just the way you express this, I don't want to die with regrets. I don't want to feel like I haven't lived. For me, that there's almost like this gut wrenching, it just connects to something so deep within me when you say that. And it feels so important to have that bigger picture of this is my life and time is passing. And all those things are not going to happen unless I make them happen. All these shifts, all these changes, it needs my full participation. And so what am I going to do about it? And just the way you said it before, I just felt like, yes, me too. So I just want to acknowledge that for a second, say thank you for expressing that. And I'm also very curious to hear more about what you meant by, for a lot of women, there's anxiety about that. And, I'm very curious about that. And I will also say, and then give you back the stage, that what you just said about those lower centers, I relate to as well so much, because being involved in a work meditation practice for about 30 years now, I always felt like I can connect with something that feels like the higher, but it's like I didn't take care of my junk,
Right.
in my own disbelief in myself and my own I'm not enough feeling and my own all that I'm not good. Actually, I would say I've never loved myself enough. I can love the higher, but somehow I can't love myself.
Right.
And that feels like something much lower in me that needs to find how to heal that so that I can really connect.
Yes, exactly what the lower chakras, what happens as our lower chakras develop, we form those beliefs about ourselves that keep us, that take us away from that truth. One of my Kundalini yoga teachers puts it so beautifully. We come into this world as a precious, perfect, infinite, radiant, this essence of love and light. Just think of a newborn baby, and that's still there. It's just covered up. And that wounding of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I can't love myself. It happens as we go through our first 3 years of life, 3 to 4 years of life, which is when our lower chakras development. So if we learn what development we need, such as to be held and to have our needs met, basically on demand, then we would develop like we're okay, that I'm worthy. I'm worthy of being fed. I'm worthy of being having my diaper changed. I mean, obviously, consciously, we aren't doing that as an infant and a 2-year-old, but there's patterns that are stored in our physical body when we don't have our emotional and physical needs met. And it's interesting because these patterns occur during the development of the chakras. So if we go back and learn the type of nurturing, emotional support we needed at that time, then we can shift those patterns. They come into our conscious awareness.
You know what I'm wondering?
And again,
too? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, because I don't attribute blame to, in most cases, to our upbringing and our caretakers, because in most cases, everybody's doing the best they can from their level of awareness and conditioning. Right. So it's, once we're adults, then we can look back and we can give that to ourselves.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, which is related to that, with like, if I think about my own parents, they're fantastic and I've only felt infinite, unconditional love from them. But I know that I suspect, please forgive me, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, that they also suffer from, a certain lack of real self-love. And I wonder if we just carry that like through generations,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had your basic needs met, sometimes there's just something that perpetuates itself.
Yes, exactly. And it is ancestral. It goes back generations. One example of that would be that I know my mom just didn't know better at the time. Was she told me when my daughter was young to just let her cry. And that was what her upbringing, and she was kind of helping me. I was living overseas at the time, and she was helping me right after my daughter was born. And she says, well, you just have to let her cry or you're going to spoil her.
Yeah.
And I was caught in a dilemma because, that really didn't feel right. Yet my mom had all this wisdom and had raised 3 children, and we turned out okay. Yeah. And the really awesome thing is my daughter overcame that. I mean, she knew to pick up her kids. I had to have no idea how, because I sometimes probably followed my mom's teachings, and I probably sometimes listened to myself. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But she knew that baby was supposed to be carried in a pouch close to her as much as she could.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that my mom sharing that, I'm sure that came from her mom and probably generations back.
So what does it look like? What are some examples of like undeveloped lower chakras? Like, what are some of the things we might be feeling? And I'm asking that too, because if there's anybody out there that thinks they're alone and feeling this way, I want to dispel that. Then, a lot of us are in that boat. But what are some of the things we might be feeling in ourselves and in the world?
There are actually some core beliefs that many of us do feel that develop when we don't get the total caring that we're longing for and that we need for a total healthy chakra development. One thing is I don't feel safe here, and anxiety and fear often are a part of that. And it's the first chakra. It's being connected to the earth, feeling safe to be alive here and to trust in ourselves. And a second chakra wounding is often I'm not enough. I'm a lot of doubt in self. Because the first two chakras are actually developed, and it's really an individual thing. You know, to us as a baby, we're totally dependent on others
Right.
in that stage. And so there's like, we see there's a you and there's a me, but we have to totally depend on that you to get food, nourishment, love, acceptance, to get our essence that we're born with reflected. And then the third chakra, we begin to interact with the world around us consciously a little bit more. So at the development of the third chakra, it's about our inner power.
Yeah.
And depending how our parents related, you know, did they give us opportunities to make choices, even as a little one, or were our choices judged and valued and told? Parents or caretakers, it could even be, you know, nursery school teachers or anybody we were interacting with. Did they allow us to have a little autonomy? Or did they completely overrule our lives, you know?
Yeah.
And that also depends again on the parent or the caretaker's comfort with their own power.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see how which parts of it I relate to as well in my own life, you know. So it's interesting to follow what you're saying. I'm like, yes. Oh, interesting. Yes. So when you were saying before, you know, the kind of women that you work with, or women, you know, kind of later in life, kind of waking up to their own spirituality. Remember, you did say something about anxiety. Can you say more?
well, what I felt in myself first was I'm looking for the uncertainty in trusting my own clarity, my own truth, my own wisdom, and how to make more of my life.
Yeah.
And women will tell me that they feel anxious a lot of the time.
Yeah.
They feel anxious. You know, they may want to pursue an interest or a business or even a volunteer, you know, a way of serving, I guess. Is, but they don't, they're afraid to take the step. They lack the courage, which I know is one thing that you help women with. They lack the confidence to take a step forward.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I think I said, it feels like life is passing you by. And so I got to do something now, but I don't know what to do. So I just go back to the old pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you describe that moment, it's like, I want to do it, and I'm feeling pressure to do it now. And at the same time, I'm putting all the brakes. At the same time, I'm wanting to move, like shove myself forward. I'm also like pressing the brakes. And I was like, and I'm not going to bud because this is too scary and too anxiety producing. And I don't know what to do. And now I'm confused and I'm giving up on the whole thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's exactly where I've seen some of my clients get to, or they know what they want to do, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
And then that creates anxiety or fear that they're not living their purpose, that
Right. Because now there's
something's
also,
coming back.
yeah, and now there's a great reason to judge oneself because I know what I want. I know what steps to take. I'm not doing it. And now the judges of like, what's wrong with me? You know, you're this, you're that, da 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 da, you know, you should and you should. And so now it's like, now it's a big part.
Exactly, right. And so that for me, by going back and doing some of the ancient wisdom practices, using those tools to heal some of those beliefs that were created,
Yeah.
covering up the truth that we have our power within, that we are enough exactly as we are, that we're here for a purpose. It's safe to be here and express that purpose.
Right.
Once we begin to shift that conditioning, and in the ancient teachings, it's like uncovering these veils that we've put over us to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah.
And that's the break I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
That we put on, we step on when we're ready to trying to go where our soul is calling us to go.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm feeling you. I feel you're saying it's not too late. It's never too late.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
Whatever that soul is calling you to do, it's possible.
So we have just a few minutes left. What would you like those women that you tend to work with, what would you like them to know if you can really make them understand this one thing? And I kind of feel like you just said it, but you can say it again then.
Lots of things are going through my mind at the moment, but yeah, that it is, I think you said it maybe the best. It's never too late to shift those patterns, and maybe that's what we're here to do, and maybe that's what this later time in life gives us: time, space, opportunities to embody really to know and to embody that inner love and light that wants to be expressed into the world.
Yeah.
In a way that's authentically you.
Yeah. 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 I'm like, I can only say yes, big resounding yes to this invitation. Thank you so much for showing up, for sharing, and for the work you do, and for expressing it here together. And the link to your website will be in the notes if anybody wants to check Diane out and the wonderful work she does. And please subscribe to the channel and like us, because that helps spread the message and the love so that more people might listen and feel inspired to walk their path. And any info about me, there'll be a link too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby.